They're saying that the bubble will not burst. There's plenty of room.
July was still the strongest housing sales month.
Bear Stearns had not been alone betting on housing. Until the market collapsed, the entire country had been encouraged to do the same thing.
You could see that people were taking mortgages that they obviously couldn't afford.
Go to a cocktail party or you'd go to a barbecue, and 2 or 3 of the people that were there were telling you how wealthy they were because the value of their home had gone so high.
Nobody cared if they could afford the payments because the act of buying the house itself meant that you were going to get rich.
The government's attitude towards homeowners was, they did it to themselves, that's the way it goes. The government's attitudes towards Wall Street was, these are a bunch of smart, sophisticated people. Yeah, they made some mistakes, but the system is fine and we'll be okay.
I have the greatest confidence in the resiliency, flexibility, and strength of our economy and our capital markets.
Both Paulson and Bernanke continued to insist all was well in the face of mounting evidence that the housing market had turned toxic.
The impact of the problems in the subprime market seems likely to be contained.
Contained. That was their word, contained. And meaning that it was not going to spread. It wasn't going to infect the rest of the economy.
When will the economy turn around?
Yes.
I'm not an economist, but I do believe that we're growing. And I can remember, you know, this press conference here, people yelling recession this, recession that, as if you're economists. And I'm an optimist. You know, I believe there's a lot of positive things for our economy.
Profits in the banking industry are plunging.
The rate in America has now soared to 6.1%.
240 points while the Nasdaq.
Throughout the summer of 2008, the toxic mortgages continued to eat away at every major Wall Street firm.
The losses on housing are real. The losses on subprime mortgages are real. And there is something like $1 trillion of losses to the financial system that are going to show up one way or another.
Nervous investors were dumping shares of the mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
The next crisis wouldn't be on Wall Street. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the largest mortgage lenders in the world.
Freddie Mac are in big trouble.
A crisis of confidence started, and in 2 weeks, 2 of the most powerful, the largest companies on earth lost 60% of their stock value.
Created by the government to promote affordable housing, the failure of these publicly traded, privately run companies was almost unthinkable. They held $5 trillion in mortgages.
They're enormous. Every institutional investor owns either Fannie and Freddie shares or, more importantly, Fannie and Freddie debt.
Their possible failure would be the very definition of systemic risk.
Bernanke and Paulson feared this could be a major catastrophe, and, you know, they had to do something about it.
Henry Paulson swallowed hard and nationalized Fannie and Freddie.
Good morning, everyone. We have determined that it is necessary to take action. And by
The government fired the management and took over the day-to-day operations.
As the GSEs have
Clearly, Bernanke and Paulson didn't want to nationalize Fannie and Freddie. That was the last thing they wanted. But the sort of logic of events just led them down there.
We examined all options available and determined that FHFA, the Federal Reserve, and Treasury have moved to address this difficult issue.
It sent this huge confidence shockwave through the entire economy. Because all of a sudden people are saying, if 2 of the largest companies on earth can fail, that means anyone can fail. At that point, there is no company too large to not fail from the housing bubble.